You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
And we are going live right now to a news conference in San Francisco. State Senator Scott Wiener talking about the city breaking up with PG&E as its utility provider. Let's take a listen.
At the California Public Utilities Commission, so that cities can actually choose to break up with PG&E and to put an end to this broken corporate monopoly. We are, just to be honest, and I think I speak for many, many San Franciscans, we are fed up with PG&E. We are done, and it is time for San Francisco to break up with PG&E. We are fed up with paying double what our neighbors in Sacramento and Palo Alto pay for electricity with their publicly owned utilities. We're fed up with the blackouts and the poor maintenance that have left hundreds of thousands of people without power for days on end. We're fed up with a system that gives monopoly utilities a huge incentive to focus more on paying its shareholders than on actually providing the best possible service for the public. San Francisco has been crystal clear for a long time that it wants to break up with PG&E. San Francisco wants out of this broken, bad relationship. And it is time for California to get serious about giving San Francisco and other cities the ability to make that breakup a reality, to actually be able to make that decision. And that is what this legislation will do. We know that there are so many reasons why leaving PG&E and forming a publicly owned utility is a good idea for San Franciscans. PG&E has raised our electric rates 40% since 2022, and we now pay the second highest rates in the country as a result. But here's the thing, not all Californians have had to pay these costs. There are people served by publicly owned utilities, for example, in Palo Alto and Sacramento, who don't pay these explosively increasing costs. They're paying on average half of the rates for residential electricity that San Franciscans pay. We recently got a glimpse of what it would look like to have electric rates set by professionals who are accountable to the public instead of shareholders. Last month, the SFPUC voted to lower the rates that it charges here in San Francisco on power generation by 20 to 25%. So our smaller public utility here in San Francisco just lowered rates. The result was overall rate decreases for San Franciscans because of the action of our local publicly owned utility. Imagine if we had the entire electric system in San Francisco governed by a San Francisco publicly accountable local utility. We all remember what happened in December with endless, massive blackouts in our city. How many people were harmed? How many businesses were harmed right at the height of our holiday season? There were 6 large blackouts in a 1-month period. It is so unacceptable. Substations that supposedly had already been fixed and upgraded kept going out. Lack of adequate communication. City Hall was even delayed in finding out what was going on. It's just unacceptable. For decades, San Francisco has been trying to get out of this toxic relationship. The city has repeatedly offered to purchase PG&E's infrastructure here in San Francisco, and PG&E keeps refusing. The city even put a number on it, $2.5 billion, and PG&E has said no. In July of 2021, San Francisco filed a petition with the California Public Utilities Commission to determine a fair price for PG&E's assets. Despite a requirement that the CPUC wrap up that valuation within an 18-month period, PG&E has abused this broken process with more than 100 filings designed to obstruct and delay and impede this process. And so here we are, more than 4 years later, when this was supposed to be done within 18 months. We have had enough of the delays. In addition to all of this, And in addition to all of this, over time, PG&E has, for decades, been putting poison. Sorry, the trucks keep loud trucks. For decades, PG&E has put poison pills into the law that have made it even harder for cities like San Francisco to break away. So Senate Bill 875 will return the legal standard to what it was back in the day when we just had regular eminent domain that cities engaged in when they decided to purchase assets for public use before PG&E rigged the system to make it harder and harder for cities to form publicly owned utilities. So SB 875 is an important step to make sure that San Francisco actually has the ability to make its own decision and to pursue purchase of PG&E's assets so that we can form a publicly owned utility in San Francisco, a publicly owned utility that will lower electric costs for the people of San Francisco, and so that other cities can make that choice as well. That's what this is about. Let's end the monopoly. Let's allow San Francisco to break up with PG&E, and let's have a fair process in doing so. So next, I want to welcome up the President of the Board of Supervisors, Raphael Mandelman.
Thank you, Senator Wiener. As I adjust the microphone down to a more reasonable height. I'm Raphael Mandelman. I'm President of the Board of Supervisors, and I want to welcome the Senator back to City Hall, to these stairs. And I want to thank the Senator for this piece of legislation. Tomorrow, I will be introducing a resolution of support for SB 875, and we look forward to working with you to get this passed. The Senator has described the wave of blackouts that the city experienced, but it has been well more than a decade that PG&E has struggled and failed to provide power safely to its customers. And in San Francisco, we have seen that, and it is reasonable for San Francisco and other municipalities to be looking at alternatives to provide the power that our businesses and our residents rely on. It is pretty stunning that private utilities like PG&E have managed to build these special protections into the law to prevent localities from actually being able to meet the needs of their residents and their businesses. And it is important, especially now, especially when we see so much of the failures of PG&E, that localities have the ability to look at all of their options. We also, and the Senator talks about this as well, we have seen public power provided more cheaply and more consistently by other jurisdictions, and it is only right that San Francisco be able to do the same. I want to thank, again, Senator Wiener for his leadership on this. It is not going to be easy, I would imagine. Few things the Senator takes on are easy, but like many of the other things he has done, this is very, very important. And I'm happy to be supportive. I know my colleagues on the Board of Supervisors are as well, and we look forward to working with you on this.
Thank you. Now we'll welcome up Supervisor Mahmoud.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for introducing this Senate bill. I want to comment, just days before Christmas, I was standing right here alongside our mayor trying to get power back in our city. A fire had broke out at the PG&E substation and caused a citywide blackout. Residents in my district were without power. Food was spoiling, heat wasn't working, and PG&E left people waiting for minutes, then hours, and then days. 2 weeks ago, I held a hearing into PG&E alongside Supervisor Wong, where we called on the CEO of the company to explain why did they let down hundreds of thousands of San Franciscans. Their answers bordered on comedy. Because they had let this breakdown happen because of breakdown in internal communication. They waited for 2 hours before they contacted the city to even tell us about the fire. because they relied on AI algorithms to provide residents with updates that were often incorrect. And because they used paper for maps at the substation, they delayed our firefighters from being able to access the substation to put out the fire that caused the incident in the first place. We found out that they spent hundreds of millions of dollars to fix that substation that caught fire, because the same substation caught fire twice over the last 30 years. So 2 weeks ago, when the Land Use Committee called for that hearing, we asked them for why they caused and did not address this issue for decades. It was clear after the hearing that PG&E has neither the ability or the interest of San Franciscans in mind. It's time to start starting our own destiny and to make progress towards public power. And this is not a pipe dream. Cities like LA, Sacramento, and Palo Alto have had public power for decades. A city-owned utility already keeps the lights on in government buildings across San Francisco, including right behind us in City Hall. All we need is for PG&E to come to the table and negotiate the sale of assets that serve this city, something that PG&E has been dragging their feet on for decades. Senator Wiener's SB 875 is giving us hope that many thought was not possible. It will cut down on the bureaucratic regulations that have gotten in the way of these negotiations. And that's why I'm excited to sponsor or co-sponsor President Mandelman's resolution at the board tomorrow as well, so we can show San Franciscans an early show of support for Senator Wiener's landmark legislation. Because it's time for the rates we pay in electricity to be reinvested here locally and prevent the major blackouts that we've experienced in San Francisco. It's time for a power company that answers to you and me and every San Franciscan. Thank you, Senator, for leading the way.
And now Supervisor Dorsey.
Thank you so much. I want to express my appreciation to Senator Wiener for taking this important step to get some of the obstacles that PG&E has been using to delay the progress on municipalization. I worked for many years in the San Francisco City Attorney's Office on all of the problems that PG&E has presented to San Francisco and to its ratepayers. One thing that we haven't talked about enough yet is the abysmal record on safety that PG&E has over the last many years. Starting in 2010, they were responsible for the San Bruno gas pipeline explosion. We saw what happened with the 2017 Northern California wildfires, the 2017 Tubbs fire, the 2018 Camp fire, the 2020 Zog fire. And while I appreciate PG&E's willingness to accept verbal responsibility, the reality is they never fix the problems that they are causing. Yes, they pleaded guilty to 84 counts of manslaughter, but I want to just quote from a federal judge who had oversight of PG&E for the San Bruno pipeline explosion and issued his ruling in January of 2020. And he said, while on probation, PG&E has set at least 31 wildfires, burned nearly 1.5 million acres, burned 23,956 structures, and killed 113 Californians. He detailed many problems that PG&E had, and he concluded, in these 5 years, PG&E has gone on a crime spree and will emerge from probation as a continuing menace to California. That is not an editorial. That is a federal judge in charge of PG&E's wrongdoing, and he called them out, and they deserve to be called out. Now, one of the things that's also worth knowing when we talk about municipalization is to remember how badly managed PG&E is. It has filed for bankruptcy twice in as many decades. San Francisco, if we are to pursue municipalization, will make sure that San Franciscans benefit from San Francisco's good credit. Our credit rating as a city is highly investment grade, near the top of municipal credits. The S&P Global Ratings gives San Francisco an AA+, very strong capacity to meet financial commitments. PG&E's S&P Global Rating is BBB-. It is the lowest investment tier. It is one level above junk bonds. And make no mistake about it, Ratepayers are paying the cost and the price for PG&E's lousy credit rating. It's time for San Francisco to municipalize this. It's something that we should have done back in 1913, and I really appreciate the leadership from my colleagues and State Senator Scott Wiener, and honestly, all across the Board of Supervisors. I think this is something that we are all in agreement on. It's time to municipalize these assets and have a public power system that delivers for ratepayers rather than shareholders. Thanks so much.
Okay, and again, thank you, Supervisor Sauter, for joining us as well. That concludes our press conference. If there are any questions from the press, happy to answer. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so, and I apologize for my voice. So over the last 35 years, the investor-owned utilities led by PG&E have put poison pills into state eminent domain law to treat electric utilities differently from any other piece of property that government may try to purchase via eminent domain. So normally, government can exercise eminent domain under long-established standards that have been around through the history of California. The utilities have put poison pills in to say, in addition to all that, you have to do a bunch of other things that make it unbelievably hard and allow the utilities to just drag out the process and make it overly complicated and at times potentially impossible to actually be able to do the eminent domain, whether through the CPUC or in court. And so this bill, what we're doing is reverting those changes to make it the way it's always been up until about 35 years ago in terms of a city's decision to form a public utility. This will create a fair process for eminent domain, the way it was for many, many years before the utilities rigged the law to make it harder for cities. And it will make it a fair process, just like any other eminent domain. It'll unrig the process. Yeah. 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 So two things in terms of before in 2020, I introduced legislation to make all of PG&E a publicly owned utility, the whole thing. Because I'll tell you, it's not just San Francisco, right? Like I from the entire PG&E territory, there's enormous anger and frustration. This is a different approach. Right? This is not a bill that mandates PG&E to become a public utility. This is a bill that says we have an existing process for eminent domain. San Francisco is pursuing that process. Let's make it a fair process and let's unrig that process and remove the poison pills that PG&E and the other utilities have put into the law to give them special rights, special abilities to obstruct that no other individual or entity has, only the electric utilities, which is very unfair. So we're unrigging the process. So it's a very different bill than what we did in 2020. In terms of the valuation, that's why we have the process to do the valuation. San Francisco has proposed what its valuation is. PG&E has every right in the world to have its own valuation, and that will take into account the value of the assets and all of the, for example, deferred maintenance and capital needs because PG&E has neglected its infrastructure so profoundly. So all of that goes into the valuation, and that is ultimately for the relevant authorities to determine the price, the purchase price. Yeah. So the bill is going, what we call going into print tonight, and then it'll be referred to committees. I'm assuming it'll go to the Senate Energy Committee. I don't know. There may be a second committee as well. I imagine that the first hearing on the bill, I'm going to guess, will be in early April, but don't hold me to that. It's the hearings happen in the March to April timeframe. And then, of course, our normal legislative process is that a bill has to be sent to the governor by the end of August, and then he has 30 days. Any other questions? Yes. I mean, there are many situations where something doesn't work, and then it works. So you have to keep trying. But again, this bill is a different approach to what we've done in the past. 5 years ago, the bill that I authored would have just in and of itself made the entirety of PG&E a publicly owned utility. This is a different approach. This is unrigging the process for a city like San Francisco to be able to purchase these assets. So it's a very different approach, and I think we have a better chance of being able to advance it. I don't want to speculate on that timing, but I do want to say that the 4.5 years that it's taken the CPUC to not even act, which is where we are today, is unacceptable. And so in existing law, there is a 180-day deadline for the CPUC, which it has missed. That is unacceptable. We're also working on an aspect of the bill, which the details are not done yet, to actually put more teeth into that deadline. Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, supervisors.
All right, you have been watching a live news conference announcing new legislation to allow California cities to take control of their own power grid. San Francisco city officials, State Senator Scott Wiener, who you just heard from, they're advocating for the city to break up with PG&E. So that would be a process. Stay with us for continuing coverage. We're going to bring you the latest developments on air on our website, kpix.com, and streaming on the free CBS News app.